Hey guys, welcome to the video. Salt here. Today we're going to be going over the new secondary weapon, the Vesper 77. Now in this weapon series, I take a weapon, I build it out, and I test that weapon on its own merits, meaning I don't mix it with any kind of external factors that would increase weapon performance. That would be things like Warframe using abilities, pets putting statuses in enemies, things like that. I just test the weapon, built out by itself, and I let the viewers make their own intelligent conclusions about adding those external kind of things. So if you notice, we're in the back rooms today. Normally we do the start of our video in the orbiter, but the back rooms is this new operation area where you can kind of do everything just like the orbiter. So we're going to be slowly moving our stuff into the back rooms, like our whole, top commenter board, our first commenter board, things like that. So I just kind of wanted to show it off and show exactly where we're going to be setting up our area here. So I'm going to go ahead and go upstairs. And it's going to be towards the back where like little articulate stands are, because I think that's a pretty cool area. Are you fucking serious?
Today's a good day.
Are you fucking serious, Letty? After all I've done for you? I'm out here every day on the streets protecting us from the Scaldra, and this is how you repay me. And you, Crewman Bill? I should have never saved you. You should still be on Neptune polishing Nef Anyo's balls. Letty, I knew our kids didn't look like me. I knew they didn't look like me. Pablo and Gabriella back here. They don't even look like me. The fuck is this? Alright guys, welcome back. So we have the top commenter of the last video, Nostra Papas, and the first commenter of the last video, BBSK Studio. Now we have our recent supporters here of Toxic Sneeze, Johnny, and Eddie. And just give a little update on how the Christmas event went. It went pretty well. We had all our little elves in the dojo. We had Montero U playing our Swedish Santa, where everyone was going to sit on his lap and they would get a gift. And we gave out, so I gave out about 70 veiled ribbons, 70 Ayathan sculptures, and 70 Axie relics. I gave out a little bit more ribbons than I did Ayathan sculptures, though, because I believe I only had 60 Ayathan sculptures altogether. So towards the end, I needed to give people 4 ribbons instead of 2 ribbons and 2 Ayathan sculptures. But yeah, it was about 70, 70, and 70 of each of those items. And then I ran out of trades, and then Pepper took over. She gave a few trades worth for people. And yeah, it went really good. We also had one of our officers, our senior officers, Tick. He was kind of going rogue, running around giving people gifts as well. So he probably also gave a bunch of gifts that I'm not super aware of. But yeah, so it went really well. We had a good time. There's a lot of people that came to the Clan Dojo and had fun. Just chatting and talking and running around in our little strip club room. So, okay. Vesper 77. This is one of the new pistols or new weapons that came with 1999. It's going to be a heavy semi-automatic pistol. So frequently it's going to 1 or 2 shot an enemy. And it's semi-automatic, which opens a mod called Cannonade to use, which is a really good mod. The other thing interesting about this weapon is that it is a silenced weapon. So could be kind of cool for missions that you want to be silent on, or certain Warframes that maybe want to stay silent. Okay, other unique things about the Vesper 77 is that it has a unique trait here where aiming activates a laser sight that highlights enemy weak points and grants plus 40% critical damage. So that's nice, some extra critical damage there. So before we go into the mods, I just want to kind of explain why this weapon is a little bit unique compared to other weapons. There's a few different reasons. The first reason it's unique is because it's a semi-automatic. When you have a semi-automatic weapon, you're open to using Cannonade mods. And Cannonade mods are very good. They're just limited to only being able to be used on semi-automatics. So we look at Semi-Pistol Cannonade here. This gives 300% flat damage, and it also gives 1.5 punch through. So that's really nice. Those are 2 really good stats you want on pretty much all your weapons. Now, to get the most value out of a build, you always want at least one form of flat damage. So this is actually our form of flat damage. Normally on our normal builds, we have to use secondary Deadhead or secondary Merciless to get 360% flat damage. Well, we have this mod now, which has 300% flat damage. So that actually opens us up to be able to switch our arcane. So we can go into the arcane section here. And we can switch it to something more unique, like maybe Cascadia Overcharge. This is one I really like. While overshields are active, you get plus 300% critical chance. So this is probably my favorite one. If I was to use the Vesper, I would just pair it with a Warframe that actually gets overshields, so this is a little bit more Warframe focused. And you can switch this arcane to really whatever you want. Just make sure, you're activating those conditions, right? You can't use Cascadia Overcharge if you don't have overshields. So just keep that in mind. Some of these are also maybe a little bit weaker on the Vesper because it's a bit slower of a weapon. So like Secondary Shiver, for instance, enemies take plus 45% damage per cold status. A lot of times this is going to like kill an enemy in 1 or 2 shots. And so that's not going to be a great effect on that enemy if you're producing cold through the Vesper, right? You could produce cold other ways too, but if you were just producing cold through the Vesper, maybe you wanted to, go cold status on it, it wouldn't be great. A great combo just because it kills too quickly for this to get much value. But that's what second Semi-Pistol Cannonade does. It gives us enough flat damage where we can actually change our arcane and actually use something that's a little bit more fun, a little bit more unique to our Warframe we're using. The other thing that using Semi-Pistol Cannonade does is that it gives us punch through. And there was a brand new mod that was added to the game called Merciless Gunfight. This is plus 45% crit damage and also 1.2 punch through. This is an amazing mod that will actually probably make it on most secondary builds in the game. It's just that because the Vesper is also semi-automatic, it gets to use Semi-Pistol Cannonade, which also has punch through. So this is more of a personal preference. Do you want to stack punch through like I am with 2.7 by having both Merciless Gunfight and Semi-Pistol Cannonade? Or do you think the punch through from Semi-Pistol Cannonade is good enough? And if that's the case, you can actually get a little bit more crit damage by using Sharpened Bullets. So let me just type in Sharpened Bullets for people that don't know. So Sharpened Bullets is 75% crit damage, where Merciless Gunfight is 45% crit damage. So you can get a little bit extra crit damage out of Sharpened Bullets if you're happy with only 1.5 punch through, which honestly a lot of times is enough, but it's really up to you. Maybe you want the more punch through like I'm using here. Okay, the other unique thing that the Vesper has kind of, it's not like super unique to the Vesper, but it's unique to weapons that kill in 1 or 2 hits. So if you have a weapon that kills in 1 or 2 shots, you really have to look at your element that you're using. Because our general elements that are usually really good in general gameplay, like Viral, for instance, aren't very good on weapons that kill in 1 hit. And it's because you need to produce Viral, and then the next hit is the one that actually, benefits from it. Well, if the enemy is dying on the first hit or on the second hit, you're not getting a lot of value out of those elements that work like that. And that's Viral and Magnetic. Viral and Magnetic, they kind of work like that, where they're not super great on one-shot weapons. Now, what elements are good on one-shot weapons? There's 2 elements. There's gas and there's blast. And it's because gas and blast actually have after-death effects. Kind of. Blast is like on death. But gas will linger, have a cloud that lingers on death. And so even though the enemy has died, it'll actually just sit there and do more damage. And blast, when the enemy dies, it explodes in a little radius and it does damage that way as well. So blast and gas are the elements you're looking for on one-shot type of weapons. And that's why on our Vesper build, we have chosen to go with blast this time. Okay, I think that is enough about that spiel, about like the interesting and unique things that the Vesper has and the different mods that kind of make it even more unique. And so we can go over the regular mods on the weapon here. So we have Galvanized Diffusion for multi-shot. We have Galvanized Crosshairs for critical chance. We have Merciless Gunfight for 45% critical damage and 1.2 punch through. But remember, consider Sharpened Bullets if you just want a little bit more crit damage. You don't want some extra punch through. Semi-Pistol Cannonade is going to give us that 300% flat damage and 1.5 punch through. Creeping Bullseye is going to give us 200% critical chance and negative 20% fire rate. And this is something I actually didn't mention also. So the other thing that Semi-Pistol Cannonade does is that it locks your fire rate. Your fire rate cannot be made better, but it also cannot be made worse. And so Creeping Bullseye, how it says negative fire rate, that actually doesn't affect us. So Creeping Bullseye is basically just 200% crit chance. So that's kind of cool. Prime Target Cracker is 110% crit damage. And then we're going to go for our 260/60s to make Blast. I was trying to do a lot of math to figure out if both 60/60s would produce more Blast, or if Frostbite with Primed Heated Charge would produce more Blast. Because statistically, they actually both produce more Blast than average, because this will give you a higher status chance to be able to produce more statuses, which could be Blast. And using Primed Heated Charge gives you a lower status chance, so you're not always going to be producing any statuses, or a lot of times you're not going to be producing any statuses, but because you have a higher Blast weighting, the statuses you do produce are more likely to be Blast. Now, I'm not going to take credit for this because it was actually a lot on Montero U, one of our officers and our frequent commenters. Montero U, he typed it into ChatGPT because we could not figure out this information ourselves. We're pretty dumb when it comes to math. So we typed this into ChatGPT. We kind of like turned this into an equation. And it turns out that the 260/60s will produce more blast procs on average than the 160/60 with Primed Heated Charge. So they will produce a decent amount more blast procs. Something to consider, though, is that by having Primed Heated Charge instead of Scorch, you are going to get a little bit extra damage on your weapon. But I don't feel like you need more damage. Like this weapon already does a lot of damage. I just want more consistent blast procs. And so for that reason, I'm going to continue to be using the 260/60s here. So again, special thanks to Montero U for typing it in ChatGPT. I have ChatGPT too, but for some reason I got kicked out of it, and I haven't been able to get back into my profile. I have to like maybe email them or something. So I really appreciate it, Montero U. Thank you so much for that. In the Exila slot here, we have Steady Hands. This is going to reduce our weapon recoil. And in the Arcane slot, again, you can pick whatever you want. And if you're using Semi-Pistol Cannonade, I would probably recommend, if there is a better Arcane option, don't use Merciless or Deadhead, because you don't really... I mean, you can put flat damage on top of flat damage, but there's a lot of diminishing returns in that. So if you're able to like combo your Arcane with a certain Warframe, like, if you do have a Warframe that has overshields, damn, this Cascadia Overcharge is really nice here. Or maybe there's another Arcane you really like. Now, for the purposes of this video, because I don't mix this with externals, I'm just going to be using Secondary Deadhead, which is fine too. If you don't have a lot of Arcanes to use, whatever, stacking two forms of flat damage on top of each other is not the end of the world. It's still going to be doing a lot for you. It's just maybe not going to be doing as much as if you picked another kind of Arcane. So that's how you build out the Vesper 77. Sorry, that explanation for it might have been a little bit longer than a usual weapon. There was just a lot of unique cases for the Vesper. So I'm going to be showing this off in 10 minutes of Steel Path Mott, just to show how the weapon works and what it looks like. I'm going to be doing this on a big dumb Anaros with no Archon Shards that increase weapon performance, no mods or Arcanes on the Anaros that increase weapon performance, and with a pet with no Sentinel weapon and no mods. I should be in the right build. Yep, my test config build. No mods on the pet that increase weapon performance. Alrighty, let me go into Mott here. We had a few people in the clan that were also helping with the math equation too, but we're all not very good at math. So ChatGPT in the end was our teacher.
Your weapons make music, and the enemy calls for a song.
Life support has been cut off. They're trying to choke.
So when I aim in, you see that little green laser? That's kind of cool.
I'm sending auxiliary life support.
Get some of our stacks up, and then we should be killing in one hit. Blast helps with AoE because this weapon is slow, and so if you don't have AoE, you're really going to be hurt. So that's another thing that Blast helps with. Not only is it a good element for a weapon that kills in one shot, but if a weapon is super slow, which is usually the weapons that kill in one shot, it helps to increase its kill potential. Because some of these weapons suffer from just being too slow, honestly. They're too slow, so they don't kill as quick as like an assault rifle or a machine gun. And that's why I really wanted to maximize the blast procs, because that's really going to be your blocker in the amount of damage you do with this weapon, is the blast procs. That's why I think it is superior over the primed fire mod. Although, like I said, the primed fire mod also technically increases your blast procs, because it increases your blast weighting. You just get less of a chance to produce status. So they both kind of do the same thing. It's just that, you know, mathematically one does it more than the other. Now, anytime you're playing with Blast or Gash, you really want to be trying to funnel enemies. So playing around a doorway, or like a, kind of like where I am, is pretty good for Blast. Play around a doorway, make sure they all kind of come in about the same area. Get the most out of your AoE. You see, once we got our conditionals up, like this does mostly kill in one hit. Sometimes the Eximus takes like 2 or 3, but most enemies are going to be like one shot. So we'll see in 10 minutes what we get. Super meta weapons usually get about 900 kills in 10 minutes. Average weapons are usually about 500 kills in 10 minutes. I don't think this is going to be super meta. I don't think it's going to be near 900. I think it's going to be close to average just because it shoots slow. It's very powerful, it just shoots slow. I'm going to put on some status immunity just to help me not get knocked over. Ooh, that Guardian Eximus is not going to help. Got to get him down first. I got my clan still talking about fractions and percentages. Johnny John was helping out with the math equation in the chat there, and then I had Montero U on Chat GPT typing stuff in. You know, we're all not very good at math. We're all basically like chimpanzees putting our fingers in our buttholes and smelling them instead of you know, having big brains. So we needed Chat GPT to give us the correct answer. Got Angst up here. It does okay damage against the Acolyte. I mean, it's a big chunky weapon, you know, big hard-hitting weapon, so it's going to do okay damage against the Acolyte. It's just that you're going to actually have to hit him. You can't miss, you know? I have issues with that sometimes. Now, Viral will still help this weapon, but you should do it externally. You should get Viral through, like, a pet, maybe. Because if you get Viral through a pet primer, hopefully that Viral proc will be on the enemy when you go to shoot, and you actually will benefit from it. Unlike on a weapon, you have to produce it first, and then your second shot benefits. So even though I said Viral on the weapon isn't good, Viral on a pet primer would be really good. So I'm running low on life support here, which I'm going to assume means the weapon is not doing super well. So we're going to go ahead and hit 2 of these life supports. Okay, we'll get back over there. I didn't finish that life support. I was having issues with that this morning too. I don't know if that's like a new bug or something. Oh my goodness. Get out of here, Angst. You're ruining the video. You're ruining the kill numbers. We could have got more. You weren't staggering us over and over. I think this weapon will probably hit about 500 kills at the very end. I think it's going to look very average. Of course, this is a big, heavy weapon, right? Like, it doesn't tell the entire story by saying it's average, because it is going to do a lot of damage per hit. But its kill potential, like its per minute kill potential, is probably going to be a lot less than most weapons. The other thing that slow weapons kind of do is they're very skill oriented, because you really need to be getting your headshots. So for a new player, this is also not going to be that great. You know, I'm not the best at headshots, but I'm decent. You know, I'm okay. I'm probably better than like the average dude, but
Extraction is ready.
we're again having life support issues, which is not a good sign. Let me run and hit some life supports before we run out.
Critical life support levels. Extraction is your best option.
Don't stop halfway through, please, please, please. Get it. There we go. Okay. Get another one. Yeah, the life supports have been weird. I don't know if they, like, screwed something up in a patch. But they're not. Sometimes they, like, stop halfway through and they don't actually get it. Oh, my goodness. What was that? Was that the laser beam? This never killed me that quick. Let me beat some dudes off real quick. Here we go. This has been a pretty shitty run here. Pretty shitty run we're on right here. So I'm not a super big fan of this weapon, to be honest. It's a bit too slow for me. I love headshot builds, but I like headshot builds that are forgiving, that have, like, you know, you shoot fast, so you can just kind of, like, dump into head height and get a lot of headshots that way. This is not that. You have to be very precise. There's that new mod that gives a lot of crit chance and stuff on weak point shots, but it removes multi-shot. I really do not like that mod, because multi-shot is basically a multiplier for, like, all of your damage. So, like, even on a basic weapon like this that has average multi-shot, you're still looking at a 3 times multiplier most of the time on your shots. Maybe even 4. I think it's 3 times, actually. So I feel like, you know, 300% crit doesn't really make up for that. But maybe on some weapons it would be really good. All right, we're almost at 10 minutes, and we'll see what our kill number is. Again, I'm going to guess about 500. I don't think this is going to get much over that.
The longer you fight,
All right, let's see
the more
here.
successful we will be.
Where is extraction? Let me get the hell out of here so I can put this Vesper down. 405. That is below average. It is below average of a weapon, and Malice put the mag bubble on me. Yeah, not a very good weapon, unfortunately. I'm sure there are Warframes out there that maybe combo, and this could be really good on those specific Warframes. But in general, this weapon is going to be a below average weapon.
You are running out of time. Consider extraction.
Again, using a different arcane might make this a bit stronger because putting flat damage on top of flat damage is not that great. But it's not going to make it that much stronger. So, like, you know, me at 405, if I maybe did use that one that gave me 300% crit, maybe get up to 500, which is still average. So, yeah, Vesper, not the best weapon for general use. There probably is a niche case to use it. There are frames that get benefits out of silenced weapons, and that, you know, it's a unique thing to have a secondary that's silenced without having to use an Exilus mod for it. So always consider that. So that should be it. So if you guys liked the video, consider giving it a like. If you haven't subbed yet, consider subbing or tell me what I can do to earn your sub. And I hope you guys have an amazing day. All right, bye.